Hello, everyone, and welcome to another San Francisco UX Writers Meetup. We're happy to have you with us today, whether your day is just starting, just ending, or you are watching at a later time. My name is Kirsten Forsberg. I'm a co-organizer of the event. Catherine Strauss, the other co-organizer, is with us today. I'll be the host. I might be familiar to you, I might be new, but I'm happy to be here and happy to have you here. I want to take a quick moment and recognize Indeed for sponsoring this event, and also to Jason for providing IT support. There are a couple of housekeeping items that I'll run through really quickly. This session is being recorded. We'll hopefully post the recording within the next couple of days. After the main presentation, there will be some breakout rooms. Those won't be recorded, just the main section. Live closed captioning is available if that is interesting or helpful to you. You can find that on the bottom of the Zoom toolbar on the right-hand side. I am posting a link to our Slack workspace in the Zoom chat. That is a great way, if you haven't already joined, it's a great way to interact with this event, to network with other people. There's the overall Slack workspace and also the discussion channel for this event. And by joining the Slack workspace, you agree to the code of conduct. It's posted and pinned, so take a moment and review it when you can. Our next event is on Wednesday, November 18th with Yael Ben David. The topic is about writing for dual-sided transactions and two-sided platforms. More information is on our meetup page, so you can head over there to find more info. And now I want to introduce our presenter. Caroline Pieracci is based in Zurich, where she leads content strategists and UX writers at Leap, one of Switzerland's biggest web agencies. We are delighted to have her here with us today. And on that note, I will turn the time over to Caroline.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll go right into screen sharing. There we go. And I guess we can get started. Thank you so much for the introduction. So yeah, we want to talk about sales today. And yeah, this experience today, or our session today, is going to end with a sales button or a buy button. And I'm going to talk about 5 practices on how to delight our users, but also our organization, or at least our sales department. And I guess we can, dive right in. So you'll need, just to get started, you'll need a computer, because it's probably preferable to have a big screen, because we're going to use screenshots and Slack and breakout rooms and mess around with all different formats. Then you preferably need also a phone, because we're going to do some voting. You can do that in your computer too, but it's, I think, as user experience experts, we have to switch all the time with devices. So have a phone ready and a notebook. And when you, like, while I'm talking about these 5 practices, like, if you can think of an experience that you have been in or that you actually created and there was upselling or cross-selling going on, note that down, because at the end we'll do some crowdsourcing and gather lots of examples, because I think I learn always the best from examples. So let's get all the examples together. So make notes during the speech, and let's start with a quick check-in. So here is that phone that I mentioned. Go into menti.com and put in that code 6211295, and then there's a question waiting for you, and answer it for me, please. We have about 5 questions to answer. I'm going to switch screens. You still see menti.com, and then you'll see the code. It's the same code on the top right hand. Oh, wow, we're so international. That's cool. Yeah, lots of people from San Francisco, London, Kuala Lumpur. Oh yeah, so perfect. Next question. Thank you so much. Next question. Let's see. There we go. What's your field of expertise? Lots of UX writers, naturally. I actually should have added sales departments. Anyways, great. So yeah, we have a lot of content strategists and UX writers with us. That's perfect. And copywriters, interesting. Okay, next questions. There's three more to go. What was the last thing you purchased? What was the last thing you bought, big or small? It's all anonymous, so you can write whatever. I mean, you should still stay decent. Book, flowers, sneakers, deodorant, food, indoor plants. I thought everybody would say coffee because it's in the morning. Let's see. Pillow, fitness props, kitchen table, truck parts, broccoli. Great, thank you. And next question. Was it the first time you bought from this company, or were you a returning customer? So we have about 2/3 of returning customers and 1/3 of first-time customers. And although that's not, I mean, we're far from being representative here, but that's an interesting result because it shows that so much sales is happening in like the retention, in the returning customer kind of space. So there's marketing and they bring new customers, but lots of sales actually happens when the experience is already, when you're already used to the experience. I mean, we're creatures of habits. Once we trust a company or a brand, we keep coming back. And basically you just proved my first point. As the experts of the UX user experience, it's our responsibility to also think about sales, because a lot of sales happens in there, as you can see in this result. So last questions, however. Do you like Disneyland? Oh, yeah. Interesting. So we are 50-50, almost 50-50. But no matter what, we're going to go there now. It's going to be a bit loud, so please be careful. There we go. And go Disneyland. Oh, here we go. So this, turning down the volume a bit, this is my little daughter. Her name is Serafina. Next to her is my husband, Daniel. They're at Disneyland in Anaheim. And they probably paid around $100 to go to Disneyland. And look what happened. So, of course, Serafina had to have some Mickey-shaped omelet or something, pancakes. There we go with the upsell. Then in the app, they take pictures of you, and then you can buy them. Of course, they bought the picture. Then there was Disney Breakfast with the Princesses. And of course, they had that. And I think it was like a $500 upsell. The grandparents invited them, but still, like, a lot of upsell was going on. And look at the next one. So Daniel and Serafina, they went back to Zurich. Look what they did. They brought some Mickey Mouse hats to the grandparents. Yeah, so you see Großpapa, which means grandpa, and Nonna, which means grandma, and these are my parents. So what this little story shows, that if users like an experience, they want more of it. So what happened to Serafina and Daniel, they paid a lot more for the overall experience at the end of the day than just $100, which was already quite expensive. And for us, the question today is, how do we create an experience so that users want to buy more? What kind of experience, or how do we create a Disneyland-like experience where people are totally willing, even longing to buy more? That's what we're going to talk about in the next 45 minutes. And I like to work with this hierarchy of content needs. So you have to, on the very bottom, you have to serve your customers, you have to solve a problem, then you have to guide them properly. You have to connect through like build an emotional connection. You have to anticipate what they need next so that at the very end or on the top of this pyramid, you can offer something. Don't worry if you don't understand it yet, because we're going to go through it step by step or layer by layer. What's kind of interesting, so on the very bottom is like just basic UX need, and then the upsell or the cross sell comes in at the end. So yeah, let's get started with the very bottom, the very basic of this Disneyland experience that Serafina and Daniel had, deliver a game. So, I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? Why did they come? Because it was fun. They had a game, they gained something. However, when they went to Disneyland and they had to take a car, and so my poor husband had to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles in California, and he had to renew his driver license. So that's the interface that he looked at, and it's kind of it's kind of fun. So you have these two red boxes, and then you say in one it says immediate attention, and then in a red font lower down it says, oh, actually I can't point here, it says in all caps, important. So this is not an ideal user interface, right? Like, I hope all of you say like, oh, you shouldn't do that. However, what I like so much about this example is that even though it's not a nice experience, Daniel spent at least half an hour on it because it solved his problem. He needed to get a driver license to drive his little girl to Disneyland. And so, I mean, you could say, yeah, they have the monopoly on that. Of course, he had no choice. But get to a point, and that's why I like this example, get to a point where your product solves such a perfectly shaped problem that people will come and they won't care what the experience looks like. It solves their problems and they're going to come and they're going to stay. However, the DMV learned their lesson. That's what it looks like today. So I think this summer was locked down. So it was last summer that they went to Disneyland. We live in Zurich and my husband is from San Jose. That's why they went there. So anyways, so that's what the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, looks today. And it's a lot more guided, and that brings us to our next step. So on the very basic, we have serve, solve a problem, and then we have guide, ensure cognitive processing. So the first screen that we saw from the DMV, it was really, yeah, it solved the problem, but it was not possible to process that. So it's important that you guide, that people actually understand what you're doing. And somebody who really, really understands how you do that is the Easter Bunny in our house. There's no picture, it's just a white screen because we've actually never seen this Easter Bunny, but look what this Easter Bunny does. So here you see the back door of our apartment. And on the bottom here, there's this pink plate. And Serafina puts a carrot in there the evening before Easter morning. And then this funny thing here, that's the cat ladder. That's how our cat gets out of the door. And you see how the Easter Bunny left this little trail with like these little paper snippets. And so when Serafina comes in the morning, she sees that the Easter Bunny has eaten the carrot and she gets really excited. So Easter Bunny knows that every experience starts with an encouraging start. Like, give your user something that they say, oh yeah, I have to follow that path. Then what the Easter Bunny knows also very well, or our Easter Bunny knows how they have to guide the user, in this case, a kiddo, that the kiddo knows how to follow. So it's a really simple path and Serafina knows how to follow that. So yeah, easy guidance. But the Easter Bunny also knows that a small child has a very short attention span. So what do they have to do? Yeah, they have to put some motivational support in between. So you can see there's the trail here, there's some chocolate eggs, and then the trail goes up here. And so at the end, Yeah, exactly. There is the end prize with the big Easter bunny at the end. So what's actually fun, this Easter bunny also knows how to create an inclusive experience. Look, our cat could follow too. But anyways, what we want to talk about is, this was an example on how you guide your users to ensure cognitive processing. Here we have a bit a more realistic example. So this is an insurance company. They sell an insurance for a car, and they say on their headline, you could save hundreds on your car insurance. And that's a very encouraging start. Everybody loves to save money. And then they have this very easy guidance. They say, what's your name? When's your birthday? What's your home address? So very easy guidance. And then we have the next screen. While you're waiting for the offer to be done, they say, well done, we'll prepare your info now. So, I mean, that's not really chocolate egg, but it's motivational support where we tell, yeah, we understood, you're doing a good job here, user. And then at the end, there is the end price, in this case, view my quote. So yeah, we said on the very basic, if you want to create an experience where users want to buy more, you have to solve a problem that they're actually coming. Then you have to guide them properly to ensure cognitive processing. And then, and that's the next one, you have to connect. And as writers, we do that through our tone of voice. How should I know which experience I should choose if I have different ones to choose from? And that's why connection, emotional connection is so important. And the example that we're going to look at is also from the car world, and it's a marketing example, but bear with me, it's actually going to end up in the UX world. So we're going to look at a few examples for test drives. This is Mercedes-Benz, and when you want to sign up for a test drive, that's what you see, and the headline reads as follows: test drives done your way. It's done your way. It's this premium feel. It's like uniquely shaped for your convenience. Test drives done your way. Then test drives, again, same product for BMW. They say ready to get behind the wheel. And you see it also in the imagery. It's quite competitive. It's this performance positioning. Same product, totally different tone of voice. Then here we have Mini, also test drive. And they say in their headline, 48 hours of style hunting. Same product, totally different way of connection. So it's fun, it's style. And then there's one more. This is Volvo. They just say test drive. Yeah, it's totally pragmatic. You know, the people from the north, they're pragmatic. And what's interesting, they have that also in their app. So if you want to sign up for the car control app, Mercedes-Benz, they say convenient control, premium. Then Mercedes-Benz, it's a bit small. It's not Mercedes, it's BMW. They say, check on your car for your driving performance. So it's all about performance again. Then Mini, they show you a picture of Piccadilly Circus and the funny illustrations. It's about fun. And then Volvo, they don't say anything, they just give you a demo. So it's super pragmatic. So it's 4 times the same experience. You just drive from A to B. And how can the user decide which experience they want to go with and want to stick with and keep going with? That's, as a writer, that's our tool, our tone of voice. And actually there's something really interesting to that. So this is BMW's claim, sheer driving pleasure, or in German, Freude am Fahren. And I want to ask you a question. So please go back to your Menti and tell me, how many years has BMW been using sheer driving pleasure, this positioning, this performance competition positioning? Don't type in a word, type in the number. Yes, exactly. So it seems 10 years is currently the most voted on. Thank you very much. Keep Menti close by. We do another one of these. So we have 10, 25, 40. So let's see. So there's actually the blog post. It just came out in September of this year. And they talk about this sheer driving pleasure positioning. And there is the answer, 55 years. So what I want to say with this is that if you do your positioning right, you can stick with it for a long time. So it's really worth investing the time in doing this right, because you can, like, half a decade you can use it and it still sounds fresh, or it feels fresh. We have another one. Tell me, how many years has Nike been using Just Do It? It's the same, like, what position, this positioning, how long have they been working with that? Much older, people think. It's funny because when I do this, I use this Nike example a lot, and people in Europe, they always say like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. So that's interesting. So you're quite good with this answer. Yeah, the slogan was coined in 1988, so that makes 32 years. And yeah, just what I want to say, it's like often we just start writing because we have no time, and it's really worth investing in creating a tone of voice. So yeah, but actually we switched from the Disneyland experience to the car experience, and now we're in the sports experience. And it's actually a true story. While Daniel and Serafina were in America, I was getting ready for a marathon. Every year in the summer, my dad and I were running a mountain half marathon, and I do that usually with an app, with some sort of training app. And so that I try out several, and eventually I stick with one. And this is one that I did not stick with. And so look what it is. It's called MyFitnessPal. And when you open the app for the first time, you get this, they ask you to subscribe for their premium free, I don't know what, but yeah, here you have an upsell, or I mean, makes sense. And you open it, they say, hey, do you want to subscribe? Then you open the app. It's a free app with this upsell here, Go Premium, kind of makes sense. So we're here on the home, but now look what happens. So if you go to the next one here, diary, you have Go Premium once here, and then you have it one more time here. So you have it two times, taking up like 1/4 of your screen. And then if you move over to progress here, again, you have Go Premium, and it's really on every screen. And oh, there we go. So what I want to say with that is selling at the wrong place feels bad. I mean, I didn't buy this app because it was in the buy more, it was everywhere. And I was looking for statistics where to understand this. And so, yeah, there is this interesting this statistic on America's most and least trusted professions. And we want to look at the least trusted professions. And so on the very bottom, you have members of Congress. That was from 2 years ago, probably would be even lower nowadays. But yeah, and the second position is car salespeople. So we don't like salespeople. Yeah, it's right after politicians. We don't like them. And so I found another study where they asked people, why don't you trust salespeople? And they say they don't care about buyers' needs. They don't know their products. And I think this example with the MyFitnessPal is a nice example. I'm sure it's just a mistake, but they had the same Go Premium sales button twice, right, one after each other on the screen. Yeah, they didn't check their product. I don't know the background, but this is why we think like, yeah, it's like they're in my face. Yeah, they only care about making the sale. They use high pressure tactics. So yeah, selling at the wrong place feels bad. Don't do that. However, selling at the right place can feel like a rescue. So the app that I actually ended up using is the Nike Training Plans app. And we have a little screen cost here. So on the top, you see the easy guidance, 5K, marathon, half marathon. And then you have an encouraging start. They say, yeah, use these plans whenever it suits you. You are in control. Start this epic journey. So that's a very encouraging start. Then we have motivational support. We have this little video. And then there is some quote. And then there is more like content on different runs. So that's lots of motivational support. Then you see a little overview of the program. And then at the end, there is the big end prize. You can download the training app. And what's interesting, now comes the running shoes. There we go. Now you can change, you switch into the Nike.com store where you can buy your shoes. Takes a long time to load, but there they are. So what's interesting about this example is, so they served a need. I needed to have a running plan to get ready for my marathon. They guided everybody very easily. Then they connected through their voice of tone, like start this epic journey. And then they anticipated my flow. They knew I'm in this running experience, so why don't we offer some running shoes, some running gear, because it just makes sense. At some point, if I use this app, at some point I'll have to buy new shoes, or I might be curious about what shoes they have. That's when they can actually show their offer. So yeah, here is me. Yeah, this is me running, and yeah, you already know my daughter, you know my father, and that is us running this marathon. And what's interesting about this example is on the very top, or the top 2/3, we have, it's all about the user's need, what the user needs. And on the bottom, we have the sales needs. And so it's basically, it looks like that here, the user experience and the UX team and the sales team, they really worked closely together to create one experience. There's not sales, marketing, and then comes user experience. It's really one experience, and it all makes sense. And so I have a question for you, because I want to know how you practice this. So please go back to Menti. And I want to know, did you actually talk to your sales team last week? Now I'm curious. Oh, yes. It's anonymous, so nobody knows what you're saying. So yeah, that's actually also my reality. It's so rarely that I talk to the sales team, and that's basically what our crew does here too. So let's do another one. Did you talk to your analytics team last week? Oh, good. Oh, interesting. Ah, nice. So it would be interesting now what learnings you had from your analytics team. One last one. Did you talk to your customer service team last week? Oh, this is really great. So we seem to have a lot of interconnected teams here. This is really cool. Wow. Oh, that makes me happy, because I was actually kind of like, oh, I don't want to show these screens, because we've worked so hard to finally really focus on the user. And now I come in and say, hey, but we also have to focus on sales. And but this is really great. That makes me happy. So let's see. Yeah, let's talk to our sales team, and actually not talk to them, just actually talk with them, or actually we should work with them. And here's an example that I like. This is a used car sales platform. And, you know, in Switzerland, where I live, we speak French, Italian, and German. And this is a French example. And so here you can buy a car, and then they also offer you the insurance. And when you enter this example, the insurance is already pre-filled out with the stuff, with all the information from this car. And it really seems that here the sales team and the user experience team, they have really worked hand in hand. Or then, yeah, let's work with our analytics team. An example that we've just had is Victorinox Swiss Army knives, we saw with our analytics team that everybody comes for Swiss Army knives and nobody comes for their fragrances. They also sell fragrances. So what we did, once we knew that everybody just comes, all traffic comes for the Swiss Army knives, we then made sure that we set the teasers so we could guide them to the fragrances. So yeah, let's work with our customer service team. And actually for that, you should follow Jen Schaefer. She had last week, she was speaking at the UX conference, and there she had, the title of her speech was Customer Call Centers, a UX Writer's Secret Weapon. I think that says it all. So yeah, but I think it's time for you to work a bit, and we have plenty of time. That's perfect. So yeah, please get your notes out, then gather in breakout rooms. Jason will put you in breakout rooms and find upselling examples in an app, a website, an experience, maybe something that you've used yourself, or maybe something that you produced yourself where you actually added a sales button or an upsell or a cross-sell. And then take a screenshot of it. If not everybody has signed up for the Slack channel in your group, just it's enough if one person does it, and then copy a screenshot of this into our Slack channel. And I think that's it. Jason, can I hand over to you? Yeah, perfect. So let's see, we got quite a few examples. That's really cool. So what we're going to do with these examples, and there's going to be a Miro board. I made a Miro board where I started collecting examples for myself, because I think it's just always the best way to learn when we see how others do it. So I'll take all the examples that we collected now, I'll put them all in here. I made like a little classification. There's upselling, there's cross-selling, and there's just selling, and I'll put them in there, and we'll share the link to this Miro board, and you can go and look at it and find inspiration if ever you have to do a cross-selling or an upselling experience. And that way we're going back to our presentation. Thank you very much anyways for the contributions. And here we go. So yeah, that's the Miro board. And we're coming to an end. So let's wrap this up. So we wanted to, or I said that in order to be able to sell in an experience, you have to solve a bunch of problems, or you have to serve a bunch of things. On the very bottom, you have to serve, you have to deliver again. The example was Serafina, my daughter Serafina, who went to Disneyland, and she had this great experience. It was a clear gain. Or you have to solve a pain. You might remember Daniel and the DMV. So the user might say, maybe this is not that enjoyable, this experience, but it really solves my problem. And that's like, with that, that's the very basic that you have to solve, the very basic problem. Then we gotta guide our users to ensure cognitive processing. So yeah, the user will say, it solves my problem and it's so easy. So we had this experience of the Easter Bunny, and we had this example of the Easter Bunny, and we had the example with this insurance app with this very simple guidance. Then the next one is connection, connect through your tone of voice. So the user will say, it's so helpful, it's so easy, and it's so me. So they will say, oh yeah, the Mini, I'm totally a Mini person. This is I totally connect with the Mini tone of voice or brand experience, or with the Mercedes-Benz or the Volvo or whatever. But as writers, we connect through our tone of voice. So yeah, we had the example of those different car apps or car experiences. Then comes, you have to anticipate the flow. You have to think about what's coming next. So yeah, the user says, that's exactly what I needed. As like I'm in this, there's the example, I'm in this running experience, and there are the running shoes presented, and I just have to push the buy button. And yes, yeah, exactly. The user says, I have to have that. And so what happened to us, and this is Serafina again doing a last appearance. So they came back from Disneyland, and look what happened, or is still happening. I have to turn up the volume. There we go.
Hey City, play Mickey Mouse.
No problem. Here's the album, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, by various artists.
Miska, Muska, straw. Mouse. Hey City.
So yeah, she still loves Mickey Mouse because this visit in Disneyland was so great. So it's really like, if you are able to convince people, they will stay loyal and they will stay with you for a long time. So yeah, I said this experience is going to end with a buy button. Now is the question, yeah, did you buy it? So let's discuss. We have time. We have 10 more minutes, and you can ask your questions in the chat. I'll get out of my sharing, and so we can all see each other. And I'm curious if you have questions, if you have like, oh, this was just bullshit. Yeah, okay. How should we do that? Actually, Kirsten, will you guide the questions?
Yes, they're in the October 2020 Meetup channel. If that is where you want to post your questions, I'll be moderating, so that way it's a little more organized. I saw someone start to type, but now I don't. But I guess a quick question for you to kind of jump things off. Do you have any recommendations for ways to work with the salespeople or with the analytics team? That's not something that's in my usual repertoire. So do you have any recommendations for first steps to get that partnership going?
So the way I do it is, when we start on a project, I always try to do, especially as a writer, I like to invite everybody to create a tone of voice together. So we have like a co-creation workshop, and that way, like we even have, we have the PO, we have the designers, we have the salespeople on client side. I work in an agency, so we have clients, and we have them all work together to define the tone of voice. And that is really cool, because that way everybody is responsible or feels responsible for it, and everybody kind of is on the same path. That's a tool that has worked really, really well to just include everybody early on. And other than that, is for me, it's a lot about, like, people are people. So have coffee with them and say hello once in a while, ask questions. That's how I do it. Maybe somebody else has more integrated meeting experience. So speak up if you have more process-oriented experiences.
Oh, sounds good. A question from Colin. What sort of content needs come after the buy button has been pushed?
It just starts all over again. It's a circle, actually. It's really like, you want them to become loyal and stick with you for 55 years, like the BMW example. So it really starts like, it's all one, actually. It's not even this stage, it's all one. And at some point you use the experience, at some point you buy something, and then, so it should be all one. And that's why we have to talk to everybody that's involved in it.
Yeah. A question from Monica. How to write in a universal tone so that different English-speaking countries will feel the same about the content?
So more of an answer to that, actually. So what my experience is, especially for English, where they decide either on American English or UK English as the base, and then, but you still add the national, like, so what we usually do for international clients, we have like one general English or one general German in my example, and then you have the local people add their local touch to it. So there is no general, I have never experienced that works, because every localization is so important that people feel connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone wants it to be personal to them and not general and trying to apply to them.
Yeah, like a person, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As a person from the UK, you immediately feel that this is an American writer that wrote something. It's just like, and then you immediately like, it creates distance. And or if you want to be a really like an American experience, you use American English because that's what you want to. But localization is so important. People feel immediately where something is from.
Yeah. So Maya asked kind of a follow-up question to that. What about B2C businesses that requires universal or being universal? Would you say it still has the same kind of perspective or localization needs, or does it all depend?
So yeah, I have never experienced that you can do universal works. It always needs to be localized, and that's why it's expensive going international, because people don't connect with a brand that's too foreign. We actually have in Switzerland, so we have about 4 million people that speak Swiss German, and it's not Germany German. And I immediately know if a brand is from Germany German. So if you really want to succeed in the Swiss German speaking market, you have to go through the hassle to really change everything. And it's extremely expensive because it's only concerning 4 million people. So it's a big issue here all the time, because localization is a thing, and it's expensive and it's worth it.
Question from Eric. How do you talk down other teams or people when they want to oversell, like in the MyFitnessPal app?
Yeah. Can somebody else answer that problem? I have that too, that problem. I find it difficult. It's like, who has like that it doesn't become a power struggle, that like, how can we prove with numbers? I mean, that's always the best if you can prove with numbers what's going on, and that's so rarely easy. It's not easy to prove. Maybe somebody else has an answer to that, but I find that very difficult. It's also a
Yeah, if anyone has any tips about that,
yes,
feel free to post them in the chat.
Let's crowdsource that.
Question from Dewanti. When do you consider using plain English? I'm not quite sure what plain English means, but I guess maybe my interpretation of the question, when do you use kind of regular conversational tone versus when do you want to use more selling verbs or kind of tailor and manipulate the language to be more kind of targeted towards an outcome?
Or is it maybe like the examples that we looked at in the driving, what was it? Apply for a driving, what was it? How to take it, what is it?
A test drive?
But anyways, it was quite the marketing tonality. And when do you use marketing tonality and quite pushy stuff? And when can you go a bit less pushy and more UX oriented? And I really think it's in the sales funnel. So that's how we do it. Like when you're still trying to win over a first-time customer, you're much more motivational. Whereas once you're in the user experience, you can relax a bit. And then it's like when the silent copy, the UX copy comes in, you can be a lot less loud. But I think it should be one experience, but you can turn it down a notch. That's my experience.
Looks like we have time for one, maybe two more questions. A question from Kelsey. Do you have advice for a writer working in a small startup where no processes for UX writing are yet established?
So that was my situation 3 years ago when I joined the company that I'm in now. So it's a company, we have 200 people, mostly tech and user experience designers. And I think there's two streams. One, just do a good job. With every project, you get people trust more in you and more and more. In the beginning, I had to like hustle and get some projects. And then once they realized, oh, it makes sense to have a UX writer on board. Now I have way too much work nowadays. So it's really like you have to do good work. And then you should also do internal marketing where you explain people, like we have little conferences where I explain everybody what UX writing is or content strategy. And then I have coffee again with like the POs. The POs, like, it's really do internal marketing, do a good job, and not only like do a good job and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. And for our last question that is similar to that, any tips for working smoothly with the visual designer to enhance the delivery of the written content?
I remember when we had a senior UX designer, and we sat down for the first time, and I started scribbling a wireframe, and he was so offended. He's like, "Who do you think you are? You can't just like do wireframes. You're not a designer." And so I think, yeah, it's really like work together with the people, show them that you're valuable to the team, and like, don't think you have to change the world immediately. Don't be offended if they don't understand what you're doing. You know, like at the end of the day, everybody knows how to write. And that's kind of dangerous. We have no magic tool. Like a tech person, they have like the code is like magic, or design, it's magic, and we just write. And so they have to understand how valuable that is. And it's really like, don't think you can like give yourself a lot of time to enter and prove people that it's valuable. And it makes their life easier. Nowadays, like the designers know there's a writer, why should I write? They just hand it over to me and my team. So, but it takes, yeah, it took 3 years in our case.
Yeah. Well, good things can take time sometimes. Thank you for everyone who posted questions and posted screenshots from the breakout activity in the Slack channel. We are just about to wrap up our meetup for the day, but Slack is always open. So feel free to keep talking with others, keep referencing the channel today and later down the road. Thank you so much, Caroline, for today's presentation. I know I got a lot out of it, and there's a lot that I can apply to my daily work. Also want to give Jason a big shout out for tech support and helping everything run smoothly today. Quick reminder, our next meetup is Wednesday, November 18th with Yael Ben-David, and she'll be talking to us about writing for two-sided platforms. More info is on the meetup page. Thanks everyone for coming today and for coming out and spending your time with us. And we can't wait to see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.